back to The Splash, live.
Welcome back, Dave Scott, Civic Center TV and Splash Live. Joined today by Paul Wilbur of Pine Lake, right in our own backyard. Paul is joining me here at the West Bloomfield Township Library, where he recently made a presentation that you'll be able to see right here on Civic Center TV. Paul, what's it all about?
Well, when you restore a home, and we have been restoring this home for about 18 years, you learn a lot about the community. You learn a lot about the city that you live in, and quite frankly, I've just got some good historical facts that I thought other people would enjoy.
So how old is the home that people see behind you?
This home was built in 1925.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we have something in common. I grew up in a over 100-year-old house in West Bloomfield. It doesn't look as good as this does. Talk about why you wanted to restore it and just some of your thoughts as you were preparing for that project.
Well, when we bought the home, it was pretty run down, and a lot of things were overgrown, and a lot of things weren't really up to speed. But the beauty of the home just stunned us. We were really captured by. It's a fantastic looking home. It makes a lot of people smile in the area as they drive down Pine Lake Road. And we just kind of said to myself, my wife and I and our family, let's take this project on and see if we can redo it.
So clearly you were going for something a little bit unique, the beautiful white and then the amazing blue roof. Did that just come to you at first, or how did you get to where you ended up?
Well, the roof that was on the house when we bought it was actually an asphalt shingle roof. And I knew it wasn't right. And so we kind of, my dad owns a construction company. So I started getting up there fiddling with it, and underneath it we found this beautiful cedar shake roof. And it was originally blue. And so I said, oh heck, we were going to redo the roof to make it look original, and we'll try to get as close to the color as we can.
So what do people say to you when they run into you and they have not seen your house in the past and they see it? What's the first thing they say to you about this home?
Oh, they think I'm nuts. The house has more names than any home I've ever seen. It's called the Gingerbread House. It's called the Smurf House. I have a little girl in the community that calls it the Frosted Cupcake House.
When I thought of it, you ever been to Charlevoix?
Sure.
It kind of reminds me, it's different, but a little bit of some of the mushroom houses up there too.
And it is a similar construction, although this pattern is very unique to Michigan as well. There's some architectural elements of it that really make it kind of, you have a hard time going by the house and not smiling.
Did you have an architect do all this? Is this your plan, or how did you get there on
No,
this project?
this is part of the whole process. We went back to the original architect. It was William H. Cooney, really popular in Detroit, this guy. He built over 500 homes in Grosse Pointe and Indian Village and all those areas. But he constructed it, and we reconstructed the home off of original photographs we have from 1925.
And you said you learned not only about the home, but also about the community. Tell me what you were thinking about.
Well, everybody that lives in Pine Lake today, they ask questions like, hey, I heard once upon a time there was a hotel on the lake. Well, yes, there was. And I have pictures and can tell that story. I heard there was a restaurant there. There was an old Charlie's Crab there. My grandmother used to take me to Charlie's Crab. Well, yes, there was, and I have photos of it. So as you live in this area and in this community, you learn a lot about the area that you live. Well, I've just been doing so much historical work on the house that I'm bumping into all this other information. So today I compiled it all into a presentation to share with the community.
I ate at that Chuck Muir restaurant when I was a kid.
It's great.
It tells you how old I am, but yeah. No, that was back in the day. And we weren't the kind of family that went to a lot of fancy dinners. But back in the day, if you were going to have a fancy dinner right here in the area and you lived in old school West Bloomfield, you'd go to the Chuck Muir restaurant on Pine Lake.
Absolutely. And I think many people even today miss it. So this is a little bit of a nostalgia to look back on maybe some of the things that we've lost. We've lost the Interlaken Hotel. We've lost the hotel that was once even on Orchard Lake. A lot of people don't know these stories, though, and I'm trying to do this to reach people that want to learn more about the area. The first schoolhouse, 1885, showing up at the corner of, you drive by it, if you drive down Long Lake or Middle Belt, you drive by it every day, but you don't know that that's what it was.
Well,
So
this
it's just fun. It's fun.
Well, this area certainly did transition to a metropolitan suburban community from a resort community, in the earlier days.
It did.
And a
even-
farming community before that.
And farming before that, and even Native Americans before that. So it's gone through a lot of transitions. Today, my favorite story is in the Henry Ford era, this was up north.
Right.
The West Bloomfield area lakes, that's as far as they could get, and they were exhausted when they got here from downtown Detroit. And whether it was Orchard Lake, Pine Lake, Cass Lake, Sylvan, this was up north, and this was made really the area so attractive was all the Great Lakes.
Well, and I imagine that when Henry Ford, the first, was selling all those Model Ts, and there were roads then, bumpy dirt roads that weren't muddy, right?
Muddy, ugly.
That he was probably pretty happy to have some place like Pine Lake for people to be able to get in their car and drive to.
And he was one of the early founders of the Pine Lake, the Auto Club of Detroit, which we now call the Pine Lake Country Club. He was there. He was up here. He was in the area socializing with a lot of people. So it kind of brings some of that auto baron, old country estate back to life. And it's fun for everybody to learn about that.
Do your neighbors like the house?
I don't know. I've never really asked them.
Well, I hope you don't mind me asking in that way, but
No.
it's not your average neighborhood home in the West Bloomfield area.
No, certainly it's not. It's really, I call it an auto baron estate. It's absolutely from the auto baron era. It's built around the same time as Meadowbrook Hall and some of the beautiful homes around the Detroit area. But yeah, it's not normal.
Well, it's not, and that's what makes it spectacular. And Paul, it is amazing, and I'm looking forward to watching your program here on Civic Center TV.
Thank you.
We'll learn all about this project and the community, right?
Exactly, and that's why I'm in 1900s garb. I have my top hat on, and even though I'm inside, I'm leaving it on.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And thank you so much for sharing your history and information of the Pine Lake area with us.
It's fun.
You can watch it right here, Civic Center TV. Go to civiccentertv.com. We'll have the whole program as it was presented right here at the West Bloomfield Library. Dave Scott from the West Bloomfield Library. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more on the Splash Live in just a moment.